Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog. We're going to be playing over at Capital Casino in the 1-3 game. We buy in for our usual $500. This vlog will cover 2 days of play at Capital. I'm just taking the most interesting hands, so there were some highlights and a few lowlights. Anyway, sit back, relax, enjoy. Here it comes. This is the very first hand of the day. I just sat down, unracked my chips, and we're dealt ace-king suited. The under-the-gun player opens for 15. I get a call from the player on my right, and with ace-king suited in middle position, I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet it. I make it $60. It's folded back around to the initial opener. They put in the call. The other player gets out of the way. So we're going to be heads up, headed to this flop with $139 in the center. And the flop comes out ace 10 8 rainbow. Good flop for our hand. The initial player checks. I'm going to go ahead and continue. I chose a size of $80. Now, sometimes I use a bigger size even though I have a very strong hand, just because it may look like I'm stabbing. I think this player thinks I might be stabbing. Why would I bet so much? Turn card comes as a deuce of clubs. They only have maybe $160 left in front of them. They check it over. I figure just stick it all in there. If they have an ace, I think they're going to be calling. And if they have something else, maybe what, pocket jacks, pocket queens perhaps? Not quite sure, but with a double gutter possible with queen jack, I'm not going to mess around anymore. Let's just get the money in and hope for the best. After some thought, my opponent decides just to let it go. Here we raise with king jack suited on the button, get one caller, c-bet the flop, and take it down. The next time we're on the button, we squeeze with ace 6 offsuit just to take down the blinds. It worked. Here we have pocket fives. There was 2 limpers in front of us. We raised to 20 and they all fold. So this pattern of raising pre-flop and winning small blinds and small pots continued for a while. On this next hand, I decided, well, maybe I'll just limp in with something that does well multi-way. So after the player limps in front of me, I limp with ace 2 suited. Player limps behind. Person on the button puts in a raise to $20. Player to my right calls. I call. So does the other player. We go 4 ways to a flop with 84 in, and we see ace 6 deuce with 2 spades. Well, that's a really good flop for us because, you know, it's really easy to cooler a hand with like ace king or ace queen. So naturally, I check it over. It gets checked around to the player on the button who stabs for $60. I had a pretty good size bet. I think the best thing here to do is just flat, of course, let them continue on any kind of blank on the turn. I'm just hoping for a non-spade, not because I'm worried about them having a flush, but more because I'm worried about it being a scare card. Well, the 4 hearts comes on the turn. Really good card. I check it over again. They compile a bet, this time for $120. Now, there is some thought about just flatting here, but hell no. I'm just going to get the money in. They only have like another 200 or so behind. They quickly fold, so maybe they didn't have an ace. Maybe they were just trying to make me think they did. I'm in the blinds and I call a $7 straddle after several callers come in, and the straddler decides to raise it up. He ends up making it 27. Now he doesn't have a real deep stack, maybe $140, $150 total. Get a couple callers. Of course, king queen I think is fine to call here. Just gotta be a little careful you don't run into like ace king or ace queen type of hand. Flop comes out, king high with 2 spades. I do have the king of spades, which is good. Of course, I check it. Now the raiser bets for 25. Very weak bet. He gets a call from a player at the other table who has maybe another $25 left behind. At this point, I should just go ahead and check raise and get the money in. But my thoughts were that the person leading is probably not going to be calling anything, and the person calling probably doesn't have much either. So my best chance of making more money is to let them bluff it off. Well, it looks like they're surrendering with the bluffing, and I'm going to have to bet my own hand. I don't think they have much, if they have anything at all. So maybe to get some money out of, say, a smaller pair, I bet $50, but they both quickly fold and should have just check raise the flop. Well, there's a $6 straddle. I'm in the low jack. There's a couple limpers in front of me. I decided to limp along. Sometimes I raise with fours. Sometimes I just limp. Sometimes I even fold them. Anyway, we get 7 players. Yes, 7 players for the $6, and we see a beautiful flop of ace 7-4 rainbow. Ah, great. It is check to me. I bet for $20. Kind of want to keep all those weak aces in. There are a few straight draws that I'm kind of worried about. The button player is a little bit worried about those kind of straight draws also. He raises to $85. Rather a large size raise. Makes me think he has a hand like pocket sevens or ace 7. I can't think of much else. Those are the 2 hands I'm putting him on. I'm going to go ahead and just flat here, see if I can get an overcall from the player behind me who quickly gets out of the way. Turn card comes as a deuce of spades, complete blank. I guess it does bring in 5-3 if I had a double gutter. I am sure my opponent is going to bet this as he slides out $100. Of course, I can just flat here, or I can go ahead and check raise. He has about another $250 behind. There is a possibility of a scare card coming, say like a 5 or a 6 or a 3. I don't want him to get scared, so I jam now. If he has pocket sevens, he's going to get all my chips anyway. If he has ace 7, I'm going to get all his. He said, did you flop a set against me? As he slides in the call, and I said, yes, I did, and I show him the pocket 4s. River is a blank jack of diamonds. He does show that he had ace 7. So this is just a cooler for my opponent. Not much he can do about it. Top 2 pair is going to always pay off that bottom set. I continued playing for about another hour. Not too much excitement. Gave back a little bit of my winnings. Just blinding off money. Calling a couple raises. Anyway, I do have some more action to show you. This is from the very next day. We've been playing for about 15 minutes. Pick up a pair of 7s in the small blind. There's a $15 raise. I decided to call. We go 5 ways to a flop of King Jack 4. Yeah, no 7s on this one. Check it. Someone bets. I'm just going to surrender. But it does get checked around. So I got another chance to hit a 7. That's a good chance because comes 6. Well, it's close to a 7 at least. I check it. Going to give up on any bet. Maybe I had the best hand, but now with the 10 of spades on the river, no chance against 4 opponents. I proudly show my pair of 7s expecting to lose, and it's good. Well, we're about an hour into this session. I have Queen Jack suited for middle position. We got 1 limper in front of us. I raised to $20, end up getting 5 callers for the $20. So we're going to be going like 6 ways to this flop with $121 in the center. Flop comes out, Queen 7-7. Do not like the 7-7 part about this against 5 opponents. There are a lot of hands like 7-8, 7-6 out there. I ended up checking, and it goes all the way around to the player on the button. Now, this player has been a little bit erratic. Just because he bets doesn't mean he has a 7. But the way he bet and the sizing makes me think he just might. But he could be betting a queen here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in a call for the $20. I'm getting great pot odds, right? So just the 2 of us heading off to the turn card, which is basically a blank. It comes a 9 of hearts. I check it over to him again. And this time he bets a little bit bigger. And I'm thinking, I feel like I'm getting milked here. I think I should just fold to this bet. But the bet was pretty damn small. So I don't like it. But for $40, I'm still getting a really good price. I call. Probably a mistake. River card comes, is another blank. It's a 6 of clubs. I check again. I figured he still might have been betting a queen, But if he bets this river, it's most likely a 7. And especially when he bets it small for like $49. Okay. Even though it's only $49, I think I should fold. But then again, it's only $49. I put in a crying call. He shows a7. I feel like a fool. Well, I went from a fool to a hero with this one. I have pocket jacks in the cutoff after several people limp in for the $6 straddle. I raised to $40. Want to just get it down to 1 or 2 players. It does work, but not exactly in the way I imagined. The player on the button now raises to 80. Basically a min raise. And I've seen a lot of players do this type of min raise when they have a really, really strong hand, like aces, and they want more action. I swear I was considering folding if that other player didn't come in, but now I'm getting really good pot odds to set mine, and if I don't hit my set, I am folding. So we go 3 ways to a flop with 256 in, and it comes King 10 5 with 2 clubs. Of course, I do not have a king. I do not have clubs. First player checked. I check. Now the player on the button bets for $150. If he happened to have pocket kings, I think he would go a little bit smaller size. If he had pocket queens, he probably would have maybe bet small or checked. This size bet always screams like he has aces, and he doesn't have the ace of clubs in his hand, is the way I read it. Of course, there's nothing I can do. I hold my cards, do not act out of turn, waiting for the other opponent to make up their mind. Of course, I don't want to influence the action. I see many players, that when they plan to give up, they signal it. They don't protect the other player involved in the hand. Finally, the third player decides to let their hand go and fold. Of course, I'm going to be folding. And later on, he was talking to another player, and I overheard him. He said that he did, in fact, have aces. Well, a little while later, I pick up ace, queen, and I have 2 limpers for $3 in front of me. I decided just to raise this sucker up to $30. Really put pressure on these loose openers. They both call. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop with $94 in the center. Flop comes out 5-4 deuce with 2 diamonds. First player checks. Next player fires out for $45. Of course, this is kind of a red flag, but in my experience, most of the time this kind of bet is more of the drawing type than the made hand type. I mean, if the person had pocket 4s or 5s or something like that, they might have a tendency to check raise, right? Because my big raise sizing makes me look like I have an overpair. So I'm thinking they have a flush draw. Now, I don't have the ace of diamonds or queen of diamonds in my hand, which are both very key cards in making the play I'm about to make. I think ace queen has a high likelihood of being the best right now. If they have a flush draw, it's probably with middling cards. So I'm going to go ahead and float here. And if a non-flush card comes here, I'll see what they do. If they continue for a large sizing, I'll give it up. And if they check it over to me, I think I would have the best hand, and I'm going to make them pay for their flush draw. Well, my opponent quickly checks, and that is good news to me because, like, he could easily have a flush draw with, say, the 10 of diamonds in his hand, and especially since I put him on middling diamond hand. That would have been a problem, him having a pair and a flush draw, but I think he just has a bare flush draw at this time. And I have about $250 in my stack, and there's 180 or so in the center. I think that's a pretty good size. I would seriously rather have like 300 to 350 when I make this play, but I think I have probably the best hand with ace high right now. And I think I can get all those flush draws to fold. And if he happens to have, say, stabbing with a hand like 6-7, they're going to be folding that too. I'm a little bit worried about them having like something like 6, 7 of diamonds where they have an open ender and a flush draw. But I shove it in. My opponent thinks for a while, and I'm just praying that he folds because I don't want him to get there on the end. I think I probably have the best hand with ace high. And after some thought, he decides to call. And I think my comment was, I was hoping you would fold. River is the 3 of clubs, bringing us the straight, and he shows 3-4 of diamonds. So my opponent flopped a pair and an open-end straight flush draw. So he wasn't going to be going anywhere. I got extremely lucky, of course, to catch the 3. I guess I could have caught 2 of the non-diamond queens also. But they flopped the world. I sucked out. I got there. If my opponent decided to bet the turn, of course, I'm folding to any kind of bet on the turn. Their check made me overcommit, you might say. But I think my read was good, except for the fact that I didn't give him credit to having a pair. All right. I thought if he had a 10 of diamonds, he would have continued. With a hand like 4-3 of diamonds, I probably would have bet myself on the turn. But he played it. He got me overcommitted. But this isn't June anymore. This is August. It's time for me to suck out. Whoa, here we go again. Another multi-way limp pot. I got a very small pair. 3s this time. It does get raised to $20, and it seems like everybody wants to call. So I'm getting like better than direct odds on set mining. He just needs 6 players. I got 7. What the heck? This is a pretty good deal. Player behind me finally puts in the call. So we're going to go to a flop with $143 in the center. And I got a little old pair of 3s. Now, 3s aren't that great unless the flop comes king 3 deuce. And now 3s are pretty damn strong. Of course, I'm just going to check this one and flow over to the aggressor. Now, this is someone I know personally, and they've been having kind of a rough day. They just rebought, about 20 minutes ago after getting stacked. So if they have a king, I don't think they're going to be checking it. They bet $100. Very, very big bet. Obviously, they have a king. I could just probably go for a check raise at this point. I don't think they're folding, but I decided to call, maybe get an overcall from the player behind me, which is highly unlikely. Turn card comes as a blank. It's a 9 of clubs. I'm just going to check it over to him. If he wants to put the rest of his chips in, I'm sure he will. And if he checks it back for some reason, then I'll just bet the river for all his chips and make him call off with the king. Anyway, I guess my flatting of his $100 bet on the flop has him a little bit nervous. But as I said, I don't think he's in the mood to be checking anything back. So eventually he sticks all his chips in. I snap call. I tell him that I have it. I show my pocket 3s, and he flashes that he did, in fact, have a king. Well, this turned out to be the last interesting hand of the day and of the week. And it was a good week for us. We ended up winning a little over $1,700. And it's been a long time since I had a decent win. As you guys know, I've been kind of in a slump all through June and part of July. So hopefully we're back on our winning ways. We're up a little over 2,000 so far this month. And our year to date is slowly growing back to where it was earlier in the year. As for the play, I got extremely lucky on the ace-queen hand against the open-end straight flush draw with a pair. I think the play itself was a good play. I'm sure you guys will let me know your thoughts about that. Before we go, I just want to bring up something else. People have been asking me about what my thoughts on Bitcoin were, and I told them that I have been bullish, and I am very bullish on Bitcoin. But a lot of people don't want to get exposed to that. They fear the cost, and part of the problem with the cost is it's expensive. but I found an interesting way to get some exposure to Bitcoin, and it costs you absolutely nothing. So here's the idea. There is a new credit card called Gemini. It's basically a MasterCard. And instead of giving you frequent flyer miles and cash rewards, they can give you your rewards in the crypto of your choice. And of course, for me, it's only Bitcoin. So this is ideal for people who pay off their credit card every month. And instead of getting those miles or cash back, you get Bitcoin. So because Gemini is a new card, they're offering some crazy, crazy deals right now. Like 10% Bitcoin back on any kind of money spent at a golf course. I mean, you play a little round of golf and you get Bitcoin in your pocket. Also, it's, like 4% for gas and 3% for meals out. And you can see the list there. Anyway, not only that, is that if you use me as your referral and sign up, they will give you an additional $50 for signing up. It's it's a no-brainer. Of course, they kick me back something too for introducing you to the card, but this is something that I believe in. And if you're anything like me and want some free Bitcoin, I consider this free Bitcoin. As long as you pay off your credit card at the end of the month, totally free. Anyway, go check them out. I highly recommend it, and start stacking some sats, as they say in the Bitcoin world. So until next week, good luck at the tables, and we'll see you back here soon.